Over the weekend, my wife and I went to Phoenix Fan Fusion. This is our big Comic Con event in the local area. It's just tons of fandom, geek culture, all piled into one place. We had a great time. I bought some really cool stuff. There's one thing I'm really excited about that I picked up that I wanted to share in this video. So let's get into it. Welcome to Solitary RPG. Phoenix Fan Fusion, which used to be called Phoenix Comic Con, however, they had to change their name due to legal reasons, was an event that my wife and I used to go to every year. Unfortunately, over the years, the event has changed dramatically due to unfortunate circumstances. And then during COVID, it was shut down. And after they started going back into full swing, my wife and I just never really got back into it. This year, however, I wanted to go because Free League Publishing was going to have a booth there. And I was going to have an opportunity to meet somebody that I admire, and that is Doug. Doug is the spokesperson on a lot of the Free League videos, and he also has his own YouTube channel called Victory Condition Gaming. And I just wanted to have an opportunity to meet somebody that I actually support through Patreon. So, got a chance to go there, got a chance to meet him. It was a great time. Obviously, he was working, so he had to work, but, got to spend a little bit of time with him, chat a little bit. It was a great moment. And while we were there, we did a little shopping at, I think they had over 300 vendors, which, believe it or not, was a reduction in the number of vendors that they typically used to have pre-COVID. But we still got to go shopping at a lot of vendors, and I wanted to show some of the items that I picked up. Plus, there's one item that I'm really excited that I found that I want to share with everyone. So let me get everything set up to show you the things that I picked up. You cannot go to a gaming convention and not buy dice. It's just part of the things that you do when you go to gaming conventions. There were tons of dice vendors. I rolled so many dice when I was there, having a good time. There was people with buckets of dice. There was all kinds of different types of dice, metal dice, gem dice, all kinds of cool custom colors and stuff. And again, it's how many dice can you possibly ever own? But there were a few vendors that I stopped at that I was interested in their dice. And this vendor, check out these dice. These things are massive. And I'm like, I have a lot of small dice, but I don't have a lot of big dice. And these just spoke to me. The size of them are impressive. They they are chunky dice. These are called the castle dice because of the design. Kind of looks like castle walls and different things like that. So that's why they called them that. But they're just a standard set of dice, but they're much larger than average. And I was like, these just felt good in my hands, and I was like, I want these. So I picked these up. Love them. They were fantastic. I don't have the vendor's information, so I can't link it in the description below. Sorry. I didn't write it down or anything like that. These are small vendors that show up. Yeah, they have their information out, but I didn't get a card. Didn't have a receipt, so I can't share with you. Sorry. But yeah, these are just cool. So I picked them up. I like the size and I like the look of them, and so I bought them. There was a local game store that was there, and they were selling mystery bags of dice. I like buying mystery bags of dice. I think it's awesome. I like that gambling concept of you never know what you're going to get. Am I going to get a winner? Am I going to get a loser? So you take your chances. This mystery bag of dice was sold with the possibility of getting maybe an enamel pin or just another custom dice, different things like that. My dice set was pretty basic. I just got a green set of dice. Nothing too exciting, but I will put these in with my Dragonbane collection because Dragonbane is using green dice, and I'll be able to use them for that. Also came with one other random dice. I guess this is some sort of maybe a candy style dice or something. It's like a matte colored off yellow dice. Not that exciting, but I'll throw it in my bucket of dice because I do have a bucket of dice. And this was the cool dice that came with it. So I didn't get the enamel pin, but I did get a cool dice. It's kind of a crystal looking with some kind of runic writing style or Viking writing style on the percentile numbers. It's cool. I like it. I like how the light reflects on it. Because I don't have the matching one to go with it, this will just get thrown in my bucket of dice. But I was supporting a local game store that had a booth set up there, so I feel good about that. Yeah, it was just another pack of dice, but those are the chances you take when you're gambling. The other thing I picked up was a dice tray. How can you buy dice and not buy a dice tray? They kind of just go hand in hand. This was a leather worker that was in the gaming hall, and that's where Free League Publishing was also located. And just kind of walking around, he had really cool stuff, but a little bit on the spendier side for my taste. But I saw this Lord of the Rings image on a fold up dice tray, and I was like, that's kind of cool. Um, I liked it, so I picked it up. Again, standard stuff. You just snap the corners and you have your dice tray. And you don't really have to snap the back corners if you don't want to. You could just use that so you can more roll your dice and you don't have to go over the lip. That was one of the selling points the guy showed me. I was like, oh, that's really cool. That was a nice concept. I was sold this. The guy was super nice, and we just had a great conversation. And that's just how sometimes it works, but I do like it. And I do have the Lord of the Rings RPG, so this will go nicely with that. Especially once I start getting it broken in, get the folds down so that it folds nicer. But it's just a nice dice tray. So that's what I picked up. So these were the little things that I bought. I didn't buy a lot at the event. My wife went nuts. She bought all kinds of stuff. But there was one thing I picked up that I'm really excited about, and I need to set my table up. So let me get set up and I'll show you what that is. Pathfinder Adventure Card Game. So a little bit of background. Pathfinder a while back put out a card game for the Pathfinder system. It is truly just a card game. It's not really an RPG light system or anything like that. Sure, it's got some RPG elements in it, but it's not a real deep RPG game. It's a card game. It's called Rise of the Ruined Lord, and that's the original first set. And then over the years, they put out expansions. They put out Skull Shackles, which is kind of a pirate game. They put out Wrath of the Righteous, which is just more of an adventure game. And then they put out The Mummy's Mask, which is kind of a pulpy Indiana Jones kind of game. But what's cool about this game is these expansions are standalone. You don't need to have the core set, and you can intermix your characters and things like that from set to set. But what's neat about this is the vendor was selling all three of these expansions for $25. Seriously. These expansions individually go for about $30 a piece, $35 a piece. He was selling all three of them for $25. This stuff is no longer in production. Pathfinder has moved on to a second edition, which they made a lot of great improvements in the second edition version of it. I have it, I play it, I like it. But these were the originals, and he was selling them brand new in the box for $25 for all three of them. I don't know how he got them. He told me he got them from a charity group, which kind of indicates to me that maybe this was all old backstock that Paizo was going to throw in the trash, which happens a lot in gaming corporations where companies throw product away. I see videos on YouTube from Games Workshop doing it, to Wizards of the West Coast throwing Magic cards away, all kinds of crazy stuff out there, stuff they discard because it costs companies money to store this stuff. So I think maybe they either were going to throw it away and whoever was going to throw it away gave it to a charity, or Paizo did the right thing and donated all of this stuff, this backstock, to a charity so that the charity could make some money, which is what other companies should do. I hate companies being so wasteful and throwing stuff in the landfills. If you can't recycle it, then you should give it away. I know it hurts your product line a little bit, but wasting it in the trash is worse. So, anyways, $25 for all these. So this has really set me on a path of going back and recollecting Rise of the Rune Lord, which I used to have back in the day, but I've sold it off. Plus, each one of these has expansion packs that are still readily available. So let's take a closer look at this stuff. So the first edition product line for the adventure card game had some faults. It wasn't the greatest artwork. Like the cards were kind of boring looking. There wasn't a lot of narrative story, and they were just random stories. So it felt kind of you're repeating yourself. You set up your adventure, you tackle your adventure by pulling cards, resolving the card, and just keep pulling cards until you can close the location, move on to the next location till you're done. Kind of had this rinse and repeat vibe to it. Well, over the second edition really resolved a lot of that. They added a lot more narrative. They made a campaign. They did a lot of the cool stuff. What's neat is all of this product is compatible with the second edition product. So you can mix and match all the games. You can take your characters from the second edition and still play them in the original stuff. The downside, though, is the new second edition product is so much nicer. The card art is better. The colors are brighter, more vibrant. It just feels a little bit better as a product line. And when you're mixing and matching cards like that, not necessarily the best thing. So this is Wrath of the Righteous, and this is just another one of the adventures, more of the traditional fantasy adventures, but it is for 1 to 4 players, which is cool. And each one of these expansion sets and the main core set have other expansions. So there's 6 expansions just for this particular setting, which means everything will be themed and worked nicely together. You'll use your standard dice that you use in role-playing games. The only role-playing aspect of this game is you're going to advance your character and build on your character, but for the most part, you flip a card, you resolve a card. You flip a card, you resolve a card, and that's pretty much what the game is. But it's a fun game. It's a lot of fun. If you want to pause and read all that, feel free. But it's just a real fun game, and this is all you need to really play it. So the way I looked at this, first of all, it's $25 for all 3 expansions. So I was kind of sold right then. If it was $100 for all 3 expansions, or even $75 for all 3 expansions, I wouldn't have bought it because I know how much these sell for on eBay or on Amazon. You can still buy this stuff. Even though it's out of production, it's still readily available. So you can still pick it up. But at $25, I look at my return on investment. I could just play these games with what's in the box. I don't need to buy anything else. They're going to give me hours of entertainment. And then literally I could take them to the used bookstore and dump them off there and sell them, get a little store credit for them to buy something else. Or I can just keep them in my collection and just save them for those days where I want to play something, but I don't want to play a really deep, heavy RPG game. I just want something kind of mindless, a little card game, a little action game, do some setup, and just go to town. So this is what I was really excited about picking up and what I wanted to show off in this video. I haven't even opened these yet. I want to get Rise of the Rune Lord, which is the core set, the original set, first, and get some of that under my belt again, and then kind of adventure into some of these other ones. I'm a completist, so this gives me stuff to go hunting for, looking for all the expansion packs for each one, and build a nice little collection. But I don't have to. Like, I can just play this for what it is. But $25 for all 3 expansions was just an amazing deal. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So that was my time at Phoenix Fan Fusion. We had a great time meeting Doug from Victory Condition Gaming, hanging out and seeing all the wonderful cosplay and just all the geek culture, the artists, the authors, all the different vendors. It was a good time. We just spent one day there. It wasn't terribly busy. It was kind of slow, and which is because going on a Sunday, most people went on Friday and Saturday. But we had a fun time, and that's the kind of crowds I like. It wasn't too crowded to where I felt like I was a sardine in a can tucked right, crunched up against everybody. We could move around, we could see everything, we just had an enjoyable time. So thank you for watching and have a great day.